So lately, I don't know. I've been thinking about my job, and I've been there a few years, and I want this video to also be some insight for somebody else. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm giving insight. Insight is not necessarily the answer to everything, but the answers are there depending on what it is that fits you and your situation. It's just putting things out there to help people put things in perspective. My last video was touching on, a car note, if that was worth it. I wanted to talk to you for a minute as I just drive, getting off my job, working my 8 hours for the day. Monday being one of our busiest days. And there's been a few things that I pay attention to now with the job that's really making me reevaluate things. And again, this might help somebody else in their situation, but one of the things I've been thinking about is how it's affected me getting an apartment right now. I'll start there. One of the things that I feel a job should be able to do is provide and be able to provide or be enough to allow you to get an apartment, a place to live, a house, whatever it might be. As an adult with a family, I think it's important to work for and represent a company who understands that people need a place to live, And on paper, my job isn't making enough. It's not showing that I make enough to even get a 1-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. Not even a studio apartment, And I know rent is high here, but it's still interesting to see that with the cost of living, jobs are supposed to be able to keep up with that. Everything should speak to each other, so somebody's not being fair somewhere in there, And I know it's business. A job is going to try to get everything they can for what they paying for, I get it. But, I'm still a person with a life, and, I got things in front of me that I need to take care of. And, I want to have a place to live for my folks. And, it ain't even just that. Moving on just to other things lately, realizing I tweaked my leg not too long ago, and I really need to go get it checked out. And, beginning of the year, I had some other stuff going on, and I ran out of the little bit of time. I'm gonna be real with you. I ran out the time that they give you, where you do PTO or you just take time off for medical stuff, whatever the case is. It wasn't a lot of time to begin with, but sometimes things happen, life happen, and it just made me realize, like, you actually asking these people if you can take off to live your life, to take care of the things you have to take care of. It's like I have to ask these people, and it's tough to do that. I have to ask to take time off. I have to ask to take a vacation. I'm tired. My body, when you listen to your body and okay, I need to take a break. You have to ask for that. You have to ask for a lunch break. You have to take it within the time frame that they give it to you. It's just like that freedom is gone, In general, a job is going to have structure, so you got to get that up anyway. And, I understand that. So it's not even me, like, complaining about that part, because in the same breath, I'm grateful to have a job. A lot of people don't have a job. At one point, when I first got the job, I was grateful and excited to get it. Obviously, I needed the income, but things change as life change around you. That was a few years ago. Things have continuously went up. But now that I'm back on the market looking for a place and seeing that it's not as easy as I would have hoped, and main reason is my income. And it's crazy, like, I think a lot of this stuff is set up now for you to be in a relationship, a couple scenario, or have a roommate. But if you a single person, or you just want, your peace and don't want a roommate, it's not set up for that. It just doesn't seem like that. Because if you get 24 hours in a day, they want you to work 8 hours of that. So now you got 16 hours left. You got to sleep 8. That's what they say a healthy amount of sleep is, about 8 hours of sleep. So then you get 8 hours right there. And if you drive to work, all the in-between time, you doing all the stuff you do, stopping for gas, getting something to eat, just in-between time, man, all the stuff you do, running errands, that eat up your last 8 hours that you have before the day is over with. So it's like, if I'm supposed to, like, go out and work another job to be able to show I make proof of income, which in my case, I freelance art, I do Uber on the side, but it's still hours and time you give into something else just to be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment, just to be able to afford to have somewhere to live for your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to actually give more of your time to have the basics. So it's like, if that job bring in more money, then that's less hours you got to give to something else, or to that job doing overtime trying to make up for what you can't get just by working your 8 hours. And, you know, at one point I just never saw it like that. You know, I was just like that person who was in the creative space for years. And I always just felt like, man, I'm relying on my art, my creativeness. I'm relying on, you know, creating a service, and, you know, I'm doing clothes and all of that, you know, music, just thinking creatively. But until any of that do whatever it do, you got to remember there's something, you know what I'm saying, that's way more important than that. And that's just that day-to-day livelihood, that's maintaining a lifestyle that doesn't put you in an uncomfortable situation, and you can live life. Get to a point, man, where you realize, like, man, the necessities of life, this job isn't giving it to me. Like, a job should at least be able to do that. I'm not saying take me on a vacation every weekend, you know, give me enough money to where I can buy, you know, fancy jewelry and, you know, hop on yachts and do whatever. You know, I'm not saying all of that. I'm saying I should at least be able to get an apartment, a place to live with that. I should at least, you know, not feel like I'm giving up my freedom and I'm stressing out every day, you know, which is the other thing, you know, stressing out, dealing with the job itself, the job description. It's like, it's not even a fun job. I could see if it was like a job where, you know, I don't know what's fun. There's jobs, it's still work. I'm not saying I don't want to work, but the energy isn't negative. It's like I'm fixing problems to begin with. You know, you got a job where your job is to fix something that's already not going well. It sets the tone, you know, and so I realize I have a job that's set up like that. It's set up for me to deal with people's problems. So it's a lot that comes with that. You take that with you, whether you try to or not. It's just a part of you to be a human being, and you take certain energy with you. It's just how it goes. So me realizing that, I'm like, man, you can't continue to put yourself in a position where you already see that the money is not doing what it's supposed to do, you know, necessity wise. It's supposed to at least cover the basics. It's supposed to at least be able to help you do the things you need to do in life. So if it's not doing that, it's like I'm starting to like create this exit route. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to figure out, like, man, eventually you got to create something that's going to get you out of this situation, because as much as you might like the job, you might like the people, you know, you might enjoy all of that, but is it really allowing you to live life without stress and having to work extra stuff on the side just to make it all make sense? And that's what I'm sitting with. You know, it's me realizing that it's more to a job than the work from home part. You know, I was sitting at home doing this job for the last few years feeling like, man, I'm winning. You know, everybody else got to get dressed and go to work and do this and do that. I can just roll over and start my shift. You know what I'm saying? And that mentality is the scariest part. It's like not even the work from home and me being extremely comfortable with that and not really like pushing myself to some degree. It's like being kind of complacent. Like, man, most people don't have this. And see, those are the things I was thinking about. I'm like, man, I save money on like lunch. Then I save money here and there. Like, that's all cool. But I think the biggest thing for me as I'm like talking about this, I just really feel like it's kind of crazy that a job that I've been working at for a few years, because they said you got to have job security. Okay, cool. Check that off. Okay, job security. Good job. Then they like, okay, now let's make sure the income match. Wait, hold on, what? Because they want like 2.5 to 3 times whatever the rent is. So most jobs paying like $20 to $30 an hour, $25 an hour. So when you do the math and it's just you and your income, you barely making that. And they want you to be 3 times, and the rent sometimes for a decent apartment is anywhere from $2,000, $2,500 for a 1-bedroom. So it's crazy, man. Just wanted to put it out there. Like I said, it may speak to somebody and kind of help you with your situation. So yeah, that's the goal, man. The plan is always to put it out there, bring up these topics. It's definitely not, like I said, saying I got the answers to whatever, but it's me sharing my experience and knowing that, you know, it's a relatable experience. So I'm going to continue to sit here and figure out if it makes sense at any point, you know, which I lately been feeling like it doesn't. Then, you know, I got to make a decision. And I think part of my decision, I've already made it. You know, it's another video that I want to do surrounding similar to this topic, but not quite. So I just leave it there for now. But yeah, just sitting here, you know, decide, man, is it worth it to stay here or not? Like, yeah, get real, y'all. So I don't know.